From the gateway to bourbon country in Louisville, Kentucky, welcome to the Firkin podcast, where every drink tells a story. I'm Brian.
I'm Chris. What's going on, Brian?
Well, Chris, as our loyal listeners know, we told everyone we had a really special show coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's right. Well, here we are. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have from Copper and Kings, head distiller, Brandon O'Daniel. Welcome to the show, my friend.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on?
Today it's an interesting show today because we are looking at Brandy.
Brandy.
What a fine girl. What a good wife she would be.
Tons of different types. And yeah, we're not talking about like the singer Brandy. We're actually talking that Brandon makes brandy.
That's right. He makes brandy.
So I'm not cute enough for the singer.
I understand. Me neither.
Way above my league.
Trust me, we tried to get her first, Brandon. She just wouldn't answer us back.
As long as I'm second.
You were definitely second. She has not responded to our calls, so we said, let's bring you on. So before we get too into it, we are going to have a pour.
That's right.
So Brandon, tell us what this very first pour is that you have for us.
Oh, so this one's super cool, and it's very near and dear to my heart. This is Floodwall. So this is an apple brandy at 100 proof. It has spent 50% of its life in one choose bourbon barrels that I handpicked from in-state distilleries, Wild Turkey, Heaven Hill, places like that. And then
there's a couple of those around here.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, one or twice.
Right.
So one of the main reasons why we're here. And then the other half of its life, it spent in Oloroso sherry cask that we imported from Spain. And it spent 3 years in each barrel. So
nice.
Now, is this the everyday? Is this everyday?
Yeah, you can get this as a distillery only pick. We've been doing this is actually the first apple that we've done.
Cool.
It is no longer nationally distributed. We switched to just our regular craft apple. But if you come visit me at the distillery, you can pick this one up in a few local stores here.
All right.
Love it.
All right. So before we get into two, we got a cheers for Brandon to come on.
Right. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.
Especially after you get through like dealing with the microphone cables. One day we'll go all wireless, right?
One day.
Do you know how you go wireless? Going to our Patreon page. That's how we go wireless.
Good point. Patreon.com/Firkin podcast. Wow, look at that, man.
It's not bad.
Smooth. Yeah.
Yep.
For 100 proof.
For 100, it drinks well.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
It lingers on the back note. This is my smoking cigar, Brandy. You really want to sit by the fire and be classic and like.
Yeah. So I have to say, as I'm sitting here, I was saying right before you came in, I was like, gosh, I just needed something like kind of lighten up. And I was looking at everything that I had here, and almost everything on my bar is always going to be like something 100 plus. It's just what I have.
Factual.
But as we're looking through, I had one quick little pour of a 90 proof, and going to this, like, honestly, that might drink like it's lower than that 90 proof.
I'm in agreement. No, this drinks so well. The 50-50 blend coming out with the Oloroso at the end just really levels everything out. Just gives you a nice viscosity on the spirit. And it's just good. It's a nice apple brandy.
Before we get into like everything Copper and Kings and how that, let's hear a little bit about your story. It's very, very interesting of how we got to you being a brandy maker here in Kentucky. So tell us a little bit about Brandon. Where'd you get started? We know that you're big into all things alcohol.
All things alcohol, at least at some point, yes. So Kentucky born and raised. Got into plants through my mother, just pulling weeds out of the mulch bed during the summer months and kind of fell in love with on that.
Did you do that voluntarily?
Oh, Lord, no.
How did your mom get to do it? Because I can't get my kids to do that shit.
She would kick us out in the morning on the way to work, lock the door, and be like, well, unlock the door when you get home. And
that's the secret. Lock their ass
Lock
outside.
their ass outside. You could do that when
that was the way that worked. Yeah, back then.
I don't think you can do it anymore.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, corporal punishment. It goes a long way. Right. She was creative. So we started out with that and kind of always, just like plants. We grew up on a farm. So we had animals and did hay and raised tobacco and all that stuff.
It's all Kentucky, right?
All Kentucky. Yeah, right outside of Lexington and Jessamine County. It's about an hour or so from here.
About Nicholasville?
Yeah, Nicholasville.
Right?
Yeah, right outside of that. Good geography. Nice job, sir.
Yeah, that's about
He looked it up earlier.
It's like four areas of Kentucky, I know. I think we have like 130 some odd counties here or something like that.
You're close. So got into plants, went to college there and got a technology degree in natural resources. and then decided to stay in school and got a master's degree in horticulture.
Oh, yeah.
And then at that point, I was going to go out to California and do the greenhouse crops and all that stuff. And California just wasn't quite calling my name at that moment for a few reasons.
Did you go out there and try it first? Or
I went out and visited for a while, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. And it wasn't quite as creative and artistic as what I thought it was going to be. It was a little more commercialized, as California is, and
Sure.
big ag.
Yeah. That's right.
So young and dumb. So I was like, well, I'll hang out here in Kentucky. My uncle and cousin had started a vineyard and a consulting firm here in the state at the moment. So I was like, well, I'll go work for him for a little bit and just kind of hang out until I figure out what I want to do. Spent about a week in the vineyard and then just like realized, man, I got to come back to the family business and I'm going to be a vineyard maker, a vineyard grower. So did that for a while, worked for the University of Kentucky as an extension specialist, traveled all over the state, just teaching doctors and lawyers how to grow small vineyards and spray and things like that. And then decided eventually I needed to go in the commercial aspects. I took over Elk Creek Vineyards there in Owen County and ran that place for 5 years as the vineyard manager and the winemaker. And then I ran into the original owners of Copper and Kings. I guess at one point they had run across a bottle of Catawba, which is an American variety of wine that I made in college, and somehow they came across that bottle. Hard telling how. I was not.
You had a lot of questions, like how the hell did you find that?
But anyways, I didn't ask, but they had it, and it was still good. So they came up to the winery and found me, and we started doing some contract winemaking for them. And then when they opened Copper and Kings, they said, well, you should at least come up and interview, and we'll see what happens. And I was the only one that was dumb enough to climb into the tanks and look around and make sure I could clean them, because that's what I was spending most of my time those days, was just like scrubbing tartrates off tanks, to make sure I could get in and out. And I came out and they said, well, shit, nobody did that. You got the job. So I've been hanging out ever since.
Immediately like, hey, we can get cheaper labor here.
Way to go above and beyond.
We don't have to hire anybody to do the job. He immediately just get in and do it.
Just gonna get into it. And that's what I did.
I was like, we can save a few $1,000s a year.
Oh, that's freaking hilarious.
So you have your family though has a very deep distilling history, right?
As every family in Kentucky does, yes.
Back in the hills in the Kentucky,
yes.
yeah, sure.
So I had no idea that we were anything more than just local bootleggers at most, and just outlaws in general, as at least half the family. But yeah, once I started Copper and Kings, my mother was like, oh yeah, by the way, your great grandfather, he was quite the distiller back during the Depression in his basement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
After this whole entire time of working in wine, making alcohol.
Did you know what I was in college?
Yeah, been in school and been doing this for 10 years already at this point. She's, oh yeah, by the way. So then she goes and pulls out this old newspaper, and it's a write-up from the local newspaper, and it's about my great grandfather. And he had burned down the barn where the still was. And it was recorded at the moment that he had the largest thumper ever confiscated in the state of Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I guess he was in Cincinnati doing a run and dropping some stuff off. And one of his farm laborers was out in the barn with the horses and kicked over a lantern, and the barn caught on fire.
Oh, man.
So the fire department got called out, and they went out and put the fire out, and they had another barn down the way on the farm. Then the firefighters, well, let's just go check and make sure there's no lanterns in there. And they opened the door, and there's this big ass still. They were cooking, at that point, 3 barrels worth a day.
Is this during Prohibition?
Wow,
Yeah.
man.
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
So
that's a problem.
yeah, he got in a little bit of trouble. But it's it's family. It's Kentucky. What are you gonna do?
That's like you
probably
said, man.
like
Washington County.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what you do.
So then you find out about that once you joined Copper and Kings.
Once I joined Copper and Kings,
and you joined Copper and Kings
as head distiller.
Oh, you joined as head distiller.
head
Yeah, he
distiller
climbed
from
into
day
that.
one, yeah.
He climbed into that pot still, man.
Wow.
That was it.
It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
They're
it's
like,
you're
this boy's
the top.
dumb as hell. Here you go.
You're in charge. Go get it done.
Good luck. Yeah.
So did you ever think, was there any time when you were doing that, you're like, man, I am going to make something totally different? What year is this? 2014?
2014 is when
Yeah.
it started. Yes, I'll be 10 years in February.
And that's kind of like right there at that peak of that boom of whiskey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. And here I was going into Louisville, Kentucky, doing pot still brandy.
Yeah.
It seemed nuts.
Yeah,
It still is nuts.
did anybody ever come up and be like, Brayden?
Everyone.
What
Hey,
the hell are you
there's
doing?
something else.
Everyone
You
did.
may have a better shot staying with a winery than making brandy in bourbon country.
Yeah. Smart decisions I'm not necessarily known for.
Sure.
But yeah, we had a lot of like big names. I mean, because I was definitely not the first person they asked, and so many people came by and said, "This isn't going to work. You're crazy. What are you doing?"
6 months? See you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, this is nuts. And of course, I had no idea. I mean, we always had little pot stills there at the winery to, make grappa and oils and stuff.
Yeah, mess around.
But yeah, just mess around, but nothing the size of what we have now. And I just wanted to touch them and play with them, and it didn't really matter if it was going to last or not. It was just, hell, let's go for the ride.
Getting some learning. Just getting some learning.
Yeah, just figuring stuff out. I mean, they are beautiful works of art, like beautiful pot stills, some of the prettiest I've seen.
Yeah.
So like as soon as I saw them, I was like, yeah, I got to rub on those. Let's do
Absolutely.
this. And then when the spirit came out and it tasted the way it did, I think it blew everybody's mind. Nobody really thought this was going to last, and definitely not turn out as well as it did. And then as soon as I tasted the liquid, it was like, all right, let's go. Giddy up.
That's it. So when did the first bottle hit?
So we started sourcing spirit in 2012,
Okay.
and we had to go through, and it had to be 100% copper pot distilled, 100% fruit brandy. So we ended up going to like 12 different distilleries out of 10 different states, buying anything from a half barrel up to like 30 barrels. And then we brought all those back, and I tasted them and blended them all together. And then we released Craft Grape basically in March of 2014. And then we started doing clear spirits as well. So we did an unaged apple, an unaged Chenin Blanc, French Colombard, and Muscat Alexandria as well. And we'd had all the clear expressions.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot going on for, just somebody that had no idea what to do and just came out of the vineyard long haired and just like crazy looking. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So for our listeners at home, what is the big difference between brandy and bourbon?
Yeah.
Like
Fruit and grain. That's really that's all it comes down to. For brandy, we're starting with fruit. For your whiskeys and your bourbons, you're starting out with distiller's grain. And I started out with that. When I went to college, before I got into grapes, I was all into the small grains. And I had this professor that's actually like world renowned wheat breeder. And he was like, "Brandon, you need to come and work for me, and I'll give you your master's and your PhD, and you can become a wheat breeder." And I thought about it. I was like, "Man, I just can't eat this when I'm out in the field." So I was like, "Well, let's go do some fruit."
There you go.
And that's kind of where it landed.
It was all like,
That's it.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, yeah. I had no desire to make alcohol. I just wanted to like sit outside and like just grow plants. So I was like, well, I can't eat this corn, but I can eat that apple and that grape. So I switched to horticulture out of ag, and then the rest is history. Here we sit.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So where are you getting all your grapes?
All out of California,
Cool.
Central Valley. We're using 3 varieties mainly: Chenin Blanc, French Colombard, and the Muscat Alexandria. And then we've gotten to the point now where we're blending them as much as possible. So we'll press them separately, and then we blend the juice together, ferment the juice blend as wine, and then distill it as a blend all the way through.
So you bring up an interesting fact that you're getting all your grapes from California. I would assume just in our climate and humidity and every bad thing about Kentucky.
Correct.
It's probably not good to, I assume you're not like storing it on property for a very long period of time.
No. So the way we do our grapes is we'll pick until about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and everything's pressed out by 1. When I was growing grapes, a lot of grapes here in Kentucky, you can grow unique or, I guess varieties that everybody knows, Cab Sauv and Cab Franc and Merlot. You can grow them here, but you're only going to harvest consistently about every other year. And it's really hard to do a brandy business when you're only harvesting grapes every other year, and you're only growing like,
You've built your own limited time offer market.
Yeah, exactly. It was just too much. So we went out to California where the growing's easy, and the varieties are there. And then that's really kind of what I'm limited by, is how many tons I can get, and then just the grapes that are being grown in the United States.
And what's crazy, Brian, is it's all happening. That's all happening in downtown Louisville.
But right.
Yeah. I mean, right there.
Downtown.
I mean, you're just a couple blocks from the river.
Yep, we're right behind the Louisville FC Stadium.
That's right.
We're neighbors.
That's right.
All of that is happening just right there in the middle of the city. It's crazy.
Yeah, we had Sam on a couple of weeks ago. Sam Cruz from Against the Grain.
Love
and
those
he
guys.
He was giving you guys
amazing,
some big time shout outs just on your all's collaborations and.
Yeah, we've had some
together.
fun. Yeah, we've done a couple whiskeys with those guys. We've got some of their Bo and Luke barrels and aged some brandies in it. We're getting ready to do a story time in September with myself and Jerry. Just get stupid,
I
silly,
saw that,
and talk
yeah.
about some stuff.
That'll
We're
be
gonna come up with some
fun.
sort of drinking game so
Sure.
it's actually entertaining to listen to us ramble.
It's so
Because
funny.
it's just like, who wants to listen to me for that price? It's crazy, but we're gonna make it fun. You guys come out. It should be a good time.
That's
Ooh,
awesome.
when is that?
September 1st.
September
There you go.
1st.
September
Right
1st.
around
We
the
got
corner.
nothing to go. We should
That's
definitely
right.
hit that up. Where are you doing it?
Right there against the grain down at the pub house.
Oh, you're doing
there
that
by-
against
yeah.
the grain.
Mhm.
That
There
place is
by
such a cool
Slugger
place.
Field. Yeah,
And-
it's so cool. It's a nice little spot.
And for the listeners at home, if you have not had a chance to visit Copper and Kings, what a beautiful
Yeah.
facility.
It's a cool little oasis in downtown Louisville.
Oh man, so we just finished that pour.
Apple's
what a
good.
what a
Yeah, I
great
love
just
that.
Nice little smoke on the back note.
Yeah,
A little bit
I
of
love the
butterscotch.
smoke that you get, and it really is really light on the tongue. You don't get a lot over on the sides or anything like
No,
that.
it's very straight laced.
Yeah,
it's
it
kind
is.
of like a nice rye. It's just right down the middle, and that's what she wrote.
Yeah, I like how you
Fermented
put
apples.
that. Yeah,
Oh.
that's right.
All right, so we got to go to the next pour real fast.
Yeah, what we got?
You know that? Let's do this. So this is one. So I picked a couple bottles, but I don't even know why I brought anything. I should have known that he was going to bring a whole damn case. So we got something special here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
little
was
special
a
bottle.
single barrel release. This is a 10-year-old pear when it was bottled. Cast strength was at 109. It is a phenomenal spirit. It's one of the more true to the fruit brandies I've ever had. Absolutely delicious.
This still available.
Nope,
at the
this
Distiller?
just came out of the cellar. This is just like,
Love
what
it.
are we going to drink today?
Oh, I love it. How long did you say this one was?
This is a 10-year-old pear
10-year-old
aged
pear.
in used bourbon barrels. 109 proof.
So we stepped up the proof a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, I can smell this as soon as
Yes.
I uncork
yeah.
it.
It's pear. Like you can almost feel the grit when you drink it.
So what we got. Oh my gosh, that's like liquid pear.
Mhm. It's
I mean,
nice.
that's just like liquid pear.
It's a fun sipper.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's all. Wow. That was amazing.
Oh man,
Sits right
that's
there in the
cool,
middle.
dude.
Yeah,
you.
dude. That's
Man, I'm sorry that you guys don't get to try this because wow, that's so different.
Yeah, it's just like crazy true to the fruit. We were out in Washington, just kind of bebobbing around looking for barrels, honestly. We ran across this little mom and pop distillery, and he was like, we got to chit chat, and I told him who I was. He's like, oh, you got to come back in the cellar and try this. And he's like, I got these 6 barrels of pear that I've had for the last 10 years. I'd love to get rid of them. So I was like, well, let's try them.
Oh, is
And
that
we
right?
spiled it, and as soon as he spiled it and it hit the glass, I was like, I'll take all 6. So we didn't have to try it.
Yeah.
I wanted them. So we brought them back to the distillery and let them hang out for a bit, and we sold a few for some single barrels. I've got one left that's just kind of sitting there. And this was back in
Ooh.
2019. So, I mean, that pear's getting a little old now. Whether or not it will ever be bottled, I don't know, because it's got so many holes in it where I just keep getting into it. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
delicious. But maybe one day we make.
I'd like to know how many barrels are like that at your distillery.
A
They're
couple.
like-
That's true.
Yeah, a couple.
That's true.
I don't know if we'll ever be able to sell this. There's 2 bottles left in it.
No, the way that pops in the middle of your tongue, just like as soon as
It's
it hits,
nice.
it's just
Yeah.
that's
There's
refreshing
so I mean when I
bright.
say pear, I mean it is like a liquid pear. There's
Yeah.
so it's just liquid fruit. Man, that's a cool
It's nice,
that's a
isn't
cool
it?
little project.
Yeah. So as soon as I found this, I was like, well, I need to make a pear. So I came
Oh,
back to
shit,
the house
yeah.
and we made one and got done distilling it. And I was like, shit, that's not the same thing. What's happening here? So then I go back out to Washington. I'm like, man, what's going on? My pear was horrible. He's like, oh no, this is how you have to do it. So then we ended up spending like 2 months out there just with this guy. And he's like
Oh,
teaching me how to ferment pear wine to make pear brandy. And after that, we off to the races. And now I've got like 3 or 4 batches sitting down in the cellar. There's like at the 6-year mark. So eventually we'll have some Copper
That's
and Kings
right.
pear. But yeah, it was a first batch.
So this
was
is
rough.
all the ones sourced from Washington.
Yes, this was
Sweet.
all Washington source. This is just a few bottles I had stashed for the head.
Nice.
Thought I'd share them.
yeah. That was one of the things I kind of wanted to ask you about, just the different processes between the different fruits, right? I mean, do they vary?
It's
a lot?
drastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like not only in temperature, but the type of vessel I like to ferment in, the type of yeast we use, whether we
Interesting.
dump stuff in there and use brew bags or not, or we let it do clean, whether I ferment on the skins or not. It just really
Okay, yeah.
varies quite a bit based on.
So you're not using the same yeast strain for everything that you make?
Nope. Every
Cool.
fruit type has a different yeast, and then even then I'll switch based on really climates. So like the Weather Channel is always on at the house, and then like if I'm watching. Most of our apples come from Michigan, so like if they have a rough summer and it's cloudy or wet or whatever, we'll go in and we'll change the fermentation temperature and then the yeast use to kind of pull out those compounds that I'm looking for.
So with a fruit and like say like pear, apple, something like that, is there going to be this drastic difference of say like a very old vine grape, something that has its roots really, really
you
deep?
will taste the terroir. You will taste the fact if you had a rough year the year before, if you had a good year, if that vine or that apple is young. You can taste that in the vineyard. You can taste that in the winery, and you can taste it coming off the pot.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
So much fun. That's what keeps me interested. It's always something new.
Well, I mean, you're getting kind of free reign to be pretty creative over there.
Compared to the bourbon world, 100%.
Yeah.
There's so many rules in the bourbon industry. But fruit brandies, grape has to be aged in an oak barrel for 2 years. But all the fruits, they can just be fruit. We're just smashing them and fermenting them and then distilling them.
What's the weirdest fruit you've ever distilled into a brandy?
Ooh,
Well, that's
good
a
question.
That's a good question. We did a spirit called Tropical, where we was all just supposed to be tropical South American fruit. So we brought in some guava and some mango, a little bit of papaya in there, and some pineapple and bananas. Those are probably one of the weirdest ones that I'm gonna mess with. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out actually how to ferment those out properly. Yeah. It's actually really good. It's sitting down in the distillery. We just did a tropical night the other day at a friend's place, and it was just like he made some mojitos and some margaritas with it, and it was amazing.
Nice.
Like so good.
Cool.
When you pull it out, it tastes like Fruit Loops.
Oh wow! There you
Like
go.
a really 130 proof dry Fruit Loop.
Is that going to be a bottle that you're going to release, or are you going to drill in too many times?
Yeah, I've got one barrel that looks like we shot it with a shotgun, but we've got a few of those. So I think this fall we'll release it as our bottle your own station. We bring that back out.
Nice.
Ooh, cool.
That 130 proof Fruit Loop gets you really going in the morning.
True, yeah. It's the
pour
AM
right over
alcoholics,
Fruit Loops too. Even better. So what about I was just introduced to a new fruit just recently, which is apparently our state fruit here.
Pawpaw.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything with that?
So we made some wine with some Pawpaw. I have not had the chance to distill it. Actually, Ben and Jerry's ice cream came in and tried to do something with the University of Kentucky to where they were going to do a Pawpaw ice cream, but we couldn't figure out how to grow and harvest enough efficiently for them to come in.
Huh.
Yeah, cool little fruit. It's always a pleasure to find it on the side of a hill when you're kind of bebopping around the
So
woods.
is it difficult to grow?
Yeah, it's a little hard to cultivate. Yeah, and it kind of likes dappled light. It kind of likes on that southeasterly slope. You'll find it just in a very rocky terrain. And I've never seen it cultivated. We tried a couple plants there at the university and it had experiments, but as far as like putting acres out, we couldn't pull it off.
Tell me more. I have no idea about this fruit. What is this thing?
It's kind of a hybrid between like a butternut squash and a banana. It's a little sweet, but it still has a starchiness to it as well.
Oh, wow.
Kind of got an interesting cream. It's off yellow, maybe about the size of, I don't know, 2 softballs put together. That's an awful description. I'm sure the horticulturists listening are like, man, he's crazy.
He's a horticulturist.
What the hell is happening? Lay off the bear.
Let's have his degree back. And
Title of the episode is Here Comes Pawpaw.
That's how we meet.
Who's not going to listen to that?
That'd be great. Because people automatically assume that we're talking about Brent. That's his nickname is Pawpaw.
It is now. Sweet. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
So they're going to call him around the distillery like,
You've
here
arrived.
comes Pawpaw. Tell us how it's done, Pawpaw.
Yeah, I already get enough old man jokes at the distillery. I really needed that.
So I guess that you're pretty well versed in just the history of brandy coming up through the years. I mean,
so I've given the story once or twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about like I mean, it was here way back.
America's first spirit.
Yeah.
Honestly, now you'll get some kickback on that one as well. Would you actually go look at the history books? We are the first recorded spirit. It happened right outside of Staten Island, I believe. And then my story is that, the whole bourbon aspect came from trying to like mimic brandy going down the Mississippi River, and they started aging it in bourbon barrels or in barrels just to give it a little bit more of that color and aspect. That's what I have been told. That's the story I pitch at the brandy dinners.
Hey, we'll say that's the way it went.
That's the way it went. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Who's
gonna look it up?
Who's proving you wrong?
Ooh, I'm not mentioning names, but
Yeah.
I have ruffled a few feathers with that story in the past.
I guarantee it. There's too many purists about here.
Yeah,
It's about
exactly.
good stories, guys. It's about good stories and
About
good juice.
stories, yeah.
Good stories and good juice.
Yeah, never let the truth get in the way.
What whiskey wasn't made on truth.
Not even the good ones.
The truth gets a lot looser the more you drink.
That's right.
Yeah.
Really opens up Pawpaw.
That's right. I heard our boy George Washington used to distill brandy.
Yeah, big brandy producer.
Yeah.
George was into all kinds of stuff.
He was.
I have heard.
Sure.
I have heard. He was really well versed in a lot
Yeah,
of
he
shit.
was down. Yeah, my kind of guy.
Yeah, he was open.
He was pretty bad.
He was, yeah.
like,
Very progressive for his
Very
time.
progressive. I mean, he would be absolutely looked down upon now. I think in
Oh,
some
my
areas,
gosh,
like,
yeah.
could you
lock that dude
imagine?
up.
Yeah, he's not running the country today.
No,
you know?
he's not. I don't think he's getting passed.
Could you imagine how offended everyone would be if George Washington was president right now?
That's right. And especially after all of this, the politics in general. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a constitutionalist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you may want to look at the new definition of that.
Look it up. See what's going on.
Oh my
It
god.
may not be your crowd.
Oh, oh my gosh. That I could just nose that
Yeah.
Mm.
all day long.
Yeah, I find myself going back to that bottle a little too much.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
Is that why you've kept a barrel just for your
Yeah.
That's right. He's like, it's limited. You can't get it anymore. I
It's
don't
limited
know.
because it's all in his basement.
correct. Yes. Well,
Now, you also don't just do brandy. You do gin.
we do a little bit of gin and some
And some
absinthe.
absinthe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And high proof liqueurs. Yeah, we're into a little bit of everything. Why not?
Was
That's
brandy
right.
the very first one that you
Brandy
came out
was
with?
the idea.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And then
Okay.
we started the original owner and I were both gin heads and we like a good gin. So we were like, but everybody's making 1,000 gins. There's no way we need to get in the gin business. Well, of course not. So we made one. And then as soon as we did, he's like, well, let's start selling gin.
Here we
now,
are.
Yeah. So now we have 5 gins. And then we run a few absinthes as well.
Great gins, though.
Yeah, they are actually really good. Gin's
Yeah.
for the people that don't like gin. It's
You
very
did a barrel
botanically
aged-
Ah,
full.
You did a
that.
barrel aged gin too, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. We did release an Old Tom that was barrel aged in wild turkey barrels for 4 years. It is
Oh,
just
yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. We've got a pink gin that is rose water cut, and it's just like my wearable gin. You splash it behind your ears, and you're gonna smell like rose
That's
water
right.
all
I like
day.
it.
And we do a citrus gin, and there's a couple other ones in there as well.
Yeah, I heard about your absinthe.
Absinthe's the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll set that absinthe against just about any other one on the market.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. It's got 15 herbs and botanicals in it. It's my secret recipe. It's great.
Brian,
Colonel Sanders Pawpaw
Yeah,
over
Colonel Pawpaw. Making it happen.
I fucking love it.
Shit, that's going to bite me in the ass.
It is so gonna bite you in the ass.
That's a great little sound bite right there.
All right, so before we go into our next pour, because we actually have 4, 5, I don't know, there could be like 6 or
Yeah,
7
there's a
pours.
few. Yeah.
Who knows? We have a lot of stuff around here. But before we go into that, we're going to take a quick break.
Yep. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. At the Firkin podcast, we like to explore the stories behind the drinks. We've done that throughout the first few episodes with a number of amazing guests, and we want to keep bringing great content to you. I want to encourage everyone to become a Firker at patreon.com/Firkin podcast. Help support the show and make what we're doing possible. That's patreon.com/Firkin podcast. Benefits include early access to shows, pre-sale tickets, cutting room floor content. Who could ask for more? Come make the show possible. That's patreon.com/Firkin podcast. And we're back with Brandon O'Daniel from Copper and Kings. All
Hey,
right.
guys.
Daniel or Pawpaw?
Yeah. Colonel
Damn it.
Pawpaw.
Yeah, let's carry that through.
Gotta make sure that stays with us the whole rest of the episode. So we went through and we poured something else special at your brow for us today,
Yeah,
right?
this is another limited release that again just came out of the basement just for the head tonight. This is Geography. This is an around the world idea. So the plan for this is to look at where brandy really came from and all the regions where brandy is still being produced. Go over that region, pick out some delicious brandy that represents their style, bring it back to Kentucky, blend it with 51% me, 49% them, and then barrel age it for the most part in used bourbon barrels, but there's a few other iterations as well. And it is a 6-year-old South African brandy blended with a 6-year-old Copper and Kings brandy, and then barrel aged in once used bourbon barrels. And the proof on this, I want to say, is something.
Man, that might be one of my favorites so far.
It's good, isn't it? Like it just
That
like
is
coats the mouth.
Yeah. And really well balanced amount of like blend of spice on the roof of the palate. But still, I would say really like straightforward over the tongue.
Yep.
Man.
It's definitely the theme.
What'd you say the proof was on?
Yeah, 108.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. And what was the last one we were at?
109 was the last one.
Ooh.
I got too involved with just looking at the label. Like,
It's
oh,
an
look at that.
eye-catcher.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
The
Yeah.
label
pretty cool.
is beautiful.
Old Andrew Jackson up there and the spectacle. It's nice.
So let's get to just real fast. I want to talk a little bit about the music that you played to the barrels.
Yep.
Now, it's all on Spotify.
Yes, so you can go on to Spotify, look up Copper and Kings. I think you got to hit playlist or one of the tabs on the top, and then it shoots like over 300 playlists that we've personally curated. The playlist changes every day, mainly based on artists' birthdays, national events. We lost Tony Bennett on Monday, I believe, so we've been playing some Tony Bennett. So now saw that Sinead O'Connor just passed.
I was actually going to say that. Is that
she'll be on tap for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just trying to represent the music world. We blast it really, really loud and hard. And yeah, it kind of vibrates the barrels.
Whose idea was that?
So that was a group idea and kind of a cool concept. We didn't come up with the idea originally. I first heard about the idea from sake fermenters, and they play classical music to the fermentation to make the yeast move a little bit during sake. And then there's also a few guys in Italy that are playing music to the vineyards to change the microclimate up against the leaf. We came up with the idea, let's just blast some music to these barrels, because when you go to Copper and Kings, the main reason why we bought the building was for the basement. The basement is 3/4 of the way surrounded by earth, maybe 400 yards off of the Ohio River. So we're treating those barrels much more like a fine wine than we are whiskey.
Yeah.
If you were to take our brandy and sit it out in these traditional rick houses, the heat cycle is so intense that the barrel would actually just eat that brandy, and we'd be drinking liquid 2x4s when it was ready. I'm much more interested in a 50-50 blend. So 50% of my taste profile is going to come from the barrel, 50% of it's going to come from the fruit. So we kind of had to put it in a more controlled environment. So my barrel really breathes in and out, mainly due to barometric pressure. Storm fronts coming in and out. You find a nice rainy afternoon, I'm almost always down in the cellar pulling samples because everything's been pushed into the center. But being in Kentucky, there are definitely sections that are just like, it's just hot and humid and nothing's happening. So we needed a little bit of movement all the time. So we came up with the barrel or the speaker idea, and we're just like blasting it to the point you can pop the bung and look down in there, and like you'll see that brandy pulsate.
That's cool.
So everything's constantly in rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it makes a difference. It's a cool story. That's what it's all about. It's nice to kind of go down and see what the barrels are listening to at the moment.
That's right.
That's kind of a part of your logo too, there on a couple of those
Yep.
bottles,
So
right?
when you actually look at the rondelle, it is meant to be a record album, the little center hole there. So yeah, we're very musically influenced. The only person that was not in a band on my production team is me. I own some instruments, but playing was a different story. But yeah, it's music from the
it's about
time
the same
together.
here. I own a bunch,
Yeah, they look cool.
but yeah, they look great.
They look super good. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But then you have to have somebody come over and actually play.
And play them.
That's funny,
Yeah.
I look good in pictures.
Yeah, look good like I'm a rock star the whole entire time.
And then a real guitarist looks at your fingers and they're like, he's not playing.
Yeah.
He's,
Dude, I haven't picked up a
idea what
guitar
he's
ever.
doing. You got so you said a lot of the guys were in bands. Do they ever get their instruments and come down to the basement and just
Every now and
jam?
then,
Yeah.
Travis will come down
Ooh.
and play. He's in a band currently called the Snakes. They are kind of a heavy metal punk band. They paint their faces.
All
Really
right.
talented musician.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, but yeah, he's a lot of fun. And then he was back in the day when Mountain Dude and did all like the Vans tours
Yeah.
where they're like doing the skate parks and stuff. He'd bring bands. He actually had a band that was traveling on that circuit for a while. So like he's pretty damn good
Oh, yeah?
musician. Yeah.
wow.
How he ended up with me, I have no idea. But we love him to death, and yeah, he's pretty damn talented.
That's awesome.
And then Andrew, my assistant distiller, he's a bit of a jazz drummer, and like his
Okay.
drumming skills are phenomenal, actually. Why he's with me is even crazier. But we're a bunch of kooks, and they just like hanging out, I guess.
So you're like the lead singer of the band.
There you go.
No, I don't think so.
I like that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm the roadie,
You're the
maybe.
front man.
I'm pushing the
I'm the
speakers.
schlepper. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
I'm letting everybody know who's coming backstage or not. That's about where I'm
The
at.
front man of the band.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no instrument, just singing.
That's it. Just singing.
Lip singing the whole damn time.
Absolutely.
Lip singing. I like that.
That's
even
a
better.
good idea.
Yeah.
Lip sync is just perfect.
Oh, I got that down.
What kind of sound system is down there?
So we have 8 subwoofers down there. They're like 3 foot tall by 3 foot wide, and then there's 30 other mids and tweeter speakers throughout the entire basement.
Good Lord.
It's a real deal system. We have a soundboard up top, and like it's pretty cool.
I mean, I think the thing that to take from here is that during all of this time, you have stayed relevant. You have put out great spirits, and
Thank you.
you're still active.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Still
you're
here.
still
It's
putting shit out.
Crazy.
Like-
The fact that I'm getting ready to do 10 years of Copper and Kings is nuts.
Yeah.
And I
that's
guarantee
amazing.
there was no one out 10 years ago that said you're making this 10 years.
Oh no, me especially. My parents, the wife,
Yeah.
the kids. Everyone's like, "Man, you're crazy. What are you doing?" It was a complete adventure because I had a sweet gig at Elk Creek Vineyards.
Sure.
I was like 20 minutes from the winery. There was one stop sign between my house and the winery. Every day I'd either grab a fishing pole or a shotgun or rifle or bow. And like, the Elk Creek Vineyards is actually on a game preserve, and like it's sporting
Oh,
clays
that's
up
nice.
there, and it's just a beautiful place. It's like I was pretty happy there. And then we had a little amphitheater down the bottom. So like I've seen the Beach Boys play there, and like
Look at this.
yeah, some crazy stuff. So like I was in a good spot. But yeah, as soon as I walked in and saw those copper pots, I was like, left it all.
He
Let's do
said,
it.
I got to climb in there.
I gotta climb in there. Yeah.
I'm climbing in. I gotta go see how these work.
Yep. Sold my house on the lake in the country and moved to Oldham County in a little subdivision. And it's a nice house, but like work is so much fun. It's cool.
So, like, you know, you were saying you like the originality of things. Is that kind of what drove the high proof liqueurs that you guys are doing? Because I guess you have a lot more kind of leeway with those.
We
right?
do. Yeah. So really what the high proof aspect was to kind of really just like satisfy the bartender. So if you look at a lot of these classic cocktails, a lot of them were originate with brandy.
Mm.
And then when you go to make these classic cocktails with most modern brandies, they fall apart. The brandy proof's just a little low and it's just a little soft. So we kind of wanted to come in and make a brandy that would like hold up on its own. When you put it in a cocktail, you're like, damn, that's a Copper and Kings cocktail. And that's really where the high proof came in. So
Okay.
we are 90 and above for that reason.
Wow. Right on.
Are you a more of a straight drinker, or do you like cocktails? Like, are you
Straight all the way. Cocktails get me in trouble. I feel horrible the next day. I do
Oh,
stupid
yes.
shit the night of.
That's right.
But I do like a nice, neat pour. I mean, it takes, no matter if it's my product or anybody's, somebody spent a lot of time on that spirit.
I agree.
And I like just like, what did they taste? What did they want
Yeah.
it to express? And that's just easier, honestly.
That's something I always tell everybody is like, you first off, always try it neat first.
Always.
Because that's exactly what the maker wanted you to
Mhm.
taste.
That was the
Um,
expression.
Yep. And my favorite way to drink whiskey or brandy or anything, I'd like cold drinks. So just on ice is perfect for me. Especially so I like a little bit higher proof. So the ice, when it does kind of dilute down, it
Opens
just-
it up a
yeah,
little bit.
Opens
So
it
it's-
up.
yeah.
It still kind of keeps that oomph to it that it has. But I just like cold drinks.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
the way that I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm the same way, man. I'm just not I like cocktails. Don't get me
They're
wrong.
cool.
They're great.
It's a fantastic art form.
Yes, and I'll tell you, watching some of those people,
That's right.
It's wild.
to not think that they have doctorates in some of those areas is mind-boggling.
No, one of my favorite things to do is just sit at the bar and just like watch the bartender just like make cocktails
Yeah.
all night. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I don't want one, but I want to watch you do it.
Brandon just keeps ordering cocktails. He's like, no, I don't want to
I
drink
don't want it.
it.
Just
Pass
don't
it down there. I
pass
just
it
want to see what you do.
Yeah. Send it down
Let's
the
see your
way.
chops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell
Charge
him
that.
don't come talk to me.
Charge that dude down there.
He's going to love it.
Yeah. His name's Pawpaw. All right, we got to go to another pour, Brian.
Yep. Let's take a quick break and get this last pour here going before our pick a pour.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll be right back.
All right.
Sweet.
Hey, listener, thanks for tuning in. I just want to jump in here real quick and remind you to go check out our website at firkinpodcast.com and make sure that you subscribe on your podcast platform, whether it be Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and rate and review us. It just helps us kind of get the algorithm going and get out there to more listeners. And please share us with a friend. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, I'm sure you have a friend that's going to enjoy it just the same, and we'd like you to share that along. So thanks for listening, and we'll get back to the episode. We're back with Brandon O'Daniel. All right.
Or Pawpaw.
Or Pawpaw,
I'm
yeah.
never letting it
Pawpaw.
down.
Never letting it down.
Never letting it down, buddy.
Oh, Pawpaw's American Brandy.
It's got a nice ring to
Yeah,
it.
it sure does.
That probably sell a
There
few
is.
cases.
No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my
We'll
mind.
start signing bottles that way.
Old
Oh,
Pawpaw.
Pawpaw.
Heard it here first, people.
So, our last, I don't know, who knows what's going to happen. Our last,
The last official.
last official pour. What'd you bring us?
Oh, so this is a great brandy aged completely in a tequila barrel. So this is an 8-year-old spirit. It is our traditional blend of the 3 great varieties. It went in this 60-gallon tequila barrel that I had no idea where it came from. The cool thing about it was they told me
It only came from one of the 7 distilleries out there.
Great. Yeah, one of the 7, yes. But you could roll this barrel out in the sun, and it would like have a blue hint to it.
Oh, yeah.
It had so much agave in it.
Oh,
Super cool.
cool.
Or they dusted it with something. I don't know.
Sure.
But anyway, it's a cool story.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Man,
Yeah, I was
the
always a-
nose on that.
Yeah.
And I know I keep saying this, but gosh, it's like the nose just keeps getting better and better. It's got a little bit more of a darker nose than the rest of them.
It
Sure
does.
does, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She's got a little bit of that dark cherry in there, a little bit of a nice fall honey to it. But like it just like lingers on the palate
right.
so
You say this is
well.
120?
Yeah, that's straight out of the
Yeah.
barrel.
No fucking
Yeah.
way. Honestly.
Yeah, Brandy, she's a fine girl, man. She'll,
Yeah, that's right.
she'll screw you over every time.
Honestly, I think the pear honestly tasted hotter.
Mm.
And I know
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm using the wrong hot, just spicier.
Yeah, just a little bit of that back note on the heat
Yeah.
there, the effervescent aspect of it.
But holy shit, man, 120 proof.
Yeah.
Man, it could be that we've drank 4 of these pours.
Yeah,
Man.
that
That's-
may
well,
have
that's
something to
true.
do with it.
It
But
sometimes happens.
You got some
It's
good-
always
Either way.
it's always the 10th barrel's the best barrel.
I want that one.
It's always the 10th barrel's the best barrel.
You guys can get pepper in there, some nice spice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
So readily available, no more.
Yes, that one is actually
Okay.
at the distillery at the moment for sale.
Mm.
I think there's like 10 cases left.
What do you put your price points on bottle? And I know we have a bunch, but kind of where do your bottles land?
So actually a pretty good value for the amount of time, effort, and like the acreage that it takes to grow the fruit. So our traditional over-the-counter bottles range anywhere from $30 to $65.
that's phenomenal.
If the 124 Butchertown, I think that's $50 to $60 at Total Wine or wherever you want to get your liquor. And then the bottle your own's in single barrels, no higher than 65.
Look
Like
at
I
you.
want you to drink brandy.
There you go.
Fucking awesome.
When I get you hooked, yeah, then we'll raise the price at that point. But until then, like just come hang out with me and just like try this stuff. Like it's cool. There's so much of my sweat equity in there. It's crazy. We're basically for the most part, for every barrel, it's about 3/4 of an acre worth of like land use for like the vineyards and
Yeah.
the orchards. So like it's insane. Like the amount of time, land, chemicals, and like just like work to like grow from like seed to brandy bottle is
It's incredible.
nuts. It's so much more labor intensive than growing grains from a combine.
What are you doing with all the spent grain once you're done?
So that's the interesting part about Copper and King. So I've been in this business for 10 years. I get at least 2 to 3 calls a month from farmers. They're like, "Man, can I have your spent wash?"
Because
And
a
I'm like,
lot of our distilleries that's really where
it's a
goes.
whole new business.
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
didn't think about
And
that.
I like, I don't do grains, I do fruits. And like the phone goes click. And I'm like, So when you take the fruit and you bring it here, and I was to spread it on the field, it's so hot and humid, and our growing season is so long that it just affects the fruit. So what we do, or what we decided to do, is way more environmentally and economically sustainable for me to go out west and like spend a month out in California. I'll go up to Michigan and do the same thing. And we'll actually lease wineries out there, and then I'll teach the winemakers, like, this is exactly how I want this wine to be made. And then we leave all the byproduct where it was actually produced. So you go out to California, we actually have the winery we lease out there has one of the largest vermicomposting production aspects in California. I think it's like 5 or 6 acres of just worms, and they dump all of their grape skins and all that into the worms. The worms eat it, and then they sell it to the cannabis industry out there. And then up in Michigan, where our apples come from, for the most part, they take those and turn them into compost and then reapply them back into the orchards.
Wow.
But you can't do that in Kentucky because it's just too hot.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about Copper and Kings and your love of music and the Copper and Kings love of music.
Yep.
That the stills that you have there all have names, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specially named.
We have four
stills.
Yes, 4 pot stills. 50 gallon. Her name is Sarah. 750 gallons. Her name is Magdalena. 1,000 gallons. Her name is Isis. And then our newest addition, 2,000 gallons, one of the largest traditional pot stills still in use in the United States, Rosemarie.
Oh.
So when I came on to Copper and Kings and we're sitting there and I'm starting to cook stuff and the boss looks at me and says, well, you're not a real distiller until like you name your pot stills. I was like, shit, that's insulting. I guess I got to come up with something. So we're sitting around and we're drinking Syrah one day on a Sunday, listening to Bob Dylan. And I'm like, well, shit, let's just name him after lovers and Bob Dylan's wife.
That's
Why not?
right.
Well, that works.
Yeah, that works. So,
You could have 100.
You got more
so
for
many
later.
options. I looked it up and there's like a 2-page
That's
list. I'm like, damn, he's a player.
Keep bringing in the stills because
Yeah.
I got names for days.
Way to go, Bob.
Yeah, so way to go, Bob. Thank you very much.
Yeah, what a cool idea to name the stills. And something else about your stills, which is really neat. You guys have also kind of created and I'm sorry, it's not the condenser up towards
No,
the
so
top.
it's the onion or the helmet.
Yes.
So the entire purpose was to kind of go in and like make a very unique style still. But the entire ethos of Copper and Kings was to like blend all the best parts of like all the alcohol industry that we could. So we took the American style and Vendôme's American pot still in the bottom half. You'll see that in a lot of other distilleries. And then we looked at the cognac still and the Armagnac still, and we kind of made a hybrid design of that.
All right. Yeah.
And then kind of scrunched everything together. So I like to tell everybody that my stills magnify everything by 10. The good and the bad. And then when you look at my pots, basically once that steam hits, they shoot straight up the middle. You have a little bit of reflux in the helmet, but we try to be as raw of a spirit as possible to get you as true to the fruit, true to the wine characteristics as we can.
Very
So
cool.
like it's just like it steams up and we collect the steam and then we condense it back down and that's what it is.
Love it.
and
Simple as simple does.
There you go.
three, I could be wrong on this. It was 3 main pot stills. Is that 4th one kind of?
Yeah, so
that's your baby to mess around with.
Yeah,
right?
we started out with the 3, and then Sarah, that 50 gallon, she's just for like play around with experimental stuff.
Is that your baby?
That is my baby.
Yeah.
So
There
like
you
when
go.
I'm like, all right, I'm done doing paperwork and like screw you guys for 4 days, and I was like, cut the phone off, and then I'll just sit there and like make 20 gallons a day, and it's like it's such a waste of time, and it's so great, and the spirit is phenomenal. And then I've just been like slowly just putting little collections away. We're like, oh yeah, I distilled on Sarah for like the last 6 days. That's all I did, and then I'll tag them and set them in the side of the cellar, and then 5, 6, 7 years we'll pull that out and like have an event.
Wow.
I will say,
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like my album aspect. I'll
Yeah,
make
no
an
shit.
album, put it away,
That's
and then we'll
right.
pull it out and play it again.
No, I do want to take a few minutes here and just remind the listeners that we are doing a giveaway for 2 4-day passes to Bourbon and Beyond.
Nice.
So
now
make
Brandon,
sure-
you're going to be there, right?
Yeah, come see me. Come see us.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to be
gonna-
on stage,
Yeah,
man.
it's
We're
going to
gonna
be so
have some
much fun.
stuff.
I'm excited.
I am too. Yeah. Make sure that you go to firkinpodcast.com/giveaways and click the Bourbon and Beyond 2023 banner for your chance to win. Come out and spend some time with us.
I'm giving our secret word.
All right.
It's Pawpaw.
Pawpaw. That's P-A-W.
Love it. All right.
P-A-W.
I feel like this is going to carry you into
That
Bourbon and
is
Beyond.
right that it will. We have a secret word where if you follow us, you get extra entries into
That's right.
the chances to
Oh,
win.
nice.
So
All right.
we get to make that
Pawpaw
every
it
single
is,
time.
huh?
You get
Pawpaw
5
is gonna
points
be
if you listen far enough into the episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Points.
I'm so sorry.
So if you want to come down and see me and Pawpaw,
That's right.
we will be live on stage. at
We
Bourbon
will.
and Beyond.
Throwing stuff and like just getting
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah. So-
It's gonna- this episode is going to come out right before Bourbon and Beyond.
Yeah, it's gonna be about a month before. So can you talk a little bit about what you guys are gonna be doing?
Well,
with
so
the-
I don't want to get into like
Oof.
too many crazy details, okay?
Yeah.
But I can tell you that we will be announcing some really cool stuff.
Something different.
Something different.
Something different.
Very good.
I don't want to get too crazy because
Yeah.
we don't want to take the thunder away.
No, because it is going to be
That's
a
right.
cool weekend. We are going to have some interesting bottles.
Yes,
It's
I
Copper
can
and
tell
King,
you-
so we're spinning the head.
that I have tasted it, and fuck yeah.
You might want to pay
There is a
attention.
reason. There is a whole reason that the Brandy guys made it onto the bourbon stage.
Yeah, that is really the true
Yes.
point right there.
There's a whole reason, and it's delicious.
There you go.
Like,
I like it.
We came to play.
oh my gosh.
That was the name of the game.
Like
Come to play.
like I said, I'm not going to go into crazy details, but when you went through and tasted me on that, I think my first question was like, oh well, this is $300 a bottle, and it's not.
No, I want you to drink
Yeah.
Copper and King.
He doesn't want.
Yes.
He doesn't want to charge that, guys. Come on.
Yes, I want more of
He's
it.
trying to pull you in so
Yes.
that he could.
I need to hook you first.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good. So if you want to know what we're talking about, come out and see this man on stage, and he will introduce you. I'm pretty sure. Maybe we'll even let some people taste them.
I think so.
I hope so. There you
That would
go.
be a
That's
good one
the
to
plan.
do, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
So we're going to do a pick a pour, and we'll take a quick break.
All right.
We'll grab our pick a pour, and then we thought something fun to do with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll introduce that right when we come back.
all right.
All right. Be right back.
So we're back. We have a pick a pour segment.
That's right.
So we went a little bit different from Brandy.
We did just a little.
So we went to Old Fitzgerald Bottle and Bond. This is 100 proof. This is the spring release of 2021 when this came out. So Old Fitz is a Heaven Hill product. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
I like Heaven Hill.
I
I think that
love Heaven
whole
Hill.
story and family is
Oh,
just like the
it's
most entertaining out of the entire business.
Real, right? Like you talk about mafia type lore.
Crazy. Like I am down. Let me sit down and like have dinner with you guys. Like, let's get into
Just to
something.
hear what you got to say.
That's
Listen
right.
to the Shapiras talk for a little bit and just hear what they got. So first off, look at that bottle. Like it's just
Oh, yeah.
It's just gore. It's got
I love it.
Oh,
glass.
yeah,
It does.
It's just decanter style.
Like it could have
bottle.
come out of like 74.
I think
It's neat.
I think we need a a Copper and Kings decanter.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the bucket list. That's what I'm saying.
You know,
I
that
bet
is
it
something
is.
that's gone over the wayside over the years, because back in the 70s, man, you didn't
That
put
was
out a
it.
bourbon unless it was in a decanter.
Yeah, it
I
had
think-
to sit on the shelf. On
Yeah. Let's cheers to our guest one more time.
Oh,
with
yeah,
this
absolutely,
great,
Brandon.
Thanks,
amazing
guys.
course. Thank you so much for coming
The,
on.
so much fun.
But you're not
Appreciate
done
you.
yet.
I hope not.
Hell no.
We're just getting started.
Hell no. We're just getting started because we got a game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's play.
Yeah. So,
Ooh.
you're into music.
A
We're
little.
into music, I've heard.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I like a good jam
Copper
band.
and Kings is into music.
We are. Yes.
We love music.
Nice.
So we decided you play music to your barrels. That's
Every
that's
day.
one of the things that you do,
24/7.
right?
Yep.
And there is kind of a rhyme or reason of
Yeah,
what you're
semi.
playing. Semi,
Yes.
depending
It's
on
got to
what's
be
going on in
loud.
the
It's got to
world.
be
Yep.
good. Yeah, it's got to be current.
So we thought, why don't we pick the perfect Brandon playlist?
That's right.
Oh shit, boys.
The top 10 songs that if you could pick to play to a barrel the whole entire time of its lifespan,
All right,
what are those 10 songs?
10.
And yeah, we're doing 10.
Ten's
We
a
wanted to go
lot.
deep. And here's the best part. We have some ideas that also lead you on
Okay, good.
to if because we also know that we're all drinkers and we've probably all made bad mistakes in the past, that the brain doesn't work like it used to. But I'd like to think between the three of us we can do this together.
I think so.
right?
All right, 10
I mean,
songs
the-
between the three of us.
The
10
good thing
songs.
about 10 is that, like, if you're asking for like 3, that's exceptionally
Yeah.
hard because then you got to eliminate things.
Yeah.
But
All
let's
right,
say you're
let's
just
do
gonna play 10 songs of this barrel for its lifetime.
All right.
What are these songs gonna be?
That's it.
Cool.
So,
So,
yeah.
first one, I got the number
I
one.
love
love
that he
that
already
he's-
has
I
his
got the
first
number
one.
one.
Love it.
Straight
I
in.
got the number one. Favorite song that I have played to the barrels, and probably the song that I have played more times to the barrels than any other song is Bathtub Gin by
yeah.
Fish.
It's
yeah.
awesome.
So the boss, the original owner, he used to like send out this email address or the email to the entire crew, like every month, come up with the songs that like make you feel about brandy. And like I always thought it was just a smart ass idea to like just put Bathtub Gin every single month. 10 songs. So I just said just keep pushing it to where we had like an entire playlist, and that's all we played was that song for like 3 days. So yeah, everyone got mad but me. But yeah, first one, Bathtub Gin by Fish.
That's a hell of a song.
Yeah, I like
love
that
that
one.
one.
Bathtub Jim
Yeah.
Bass Fish. All right.
Got it. All
We
right.
got track 1, track 2.
All right. So I'm gonna do Saint Stephen by the Grateful Dead for number
hell
2.
Yeah, man.
So are you more of a Jerry guy or a Bobby guy?
Oh, that's a good question. So if I'm listening, I'm Jerry all the way,
Yeah.
but I really feel like Bob Weir was the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
So like if you're actually listening to like who's there most of the
Uh-huh.
time and like actually like playing, like keeping the songs up, it's Bobby Weir.
That's right.
Yeah. Bob is running the band, but Jerry's Jerry.
Oh,
Jerry's Jerry.
Jerry's
There's
Jerry.
no, you need nothing else but that. Jerry's Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry's Jerry.
I mean, the way I always felt about it, just the Jerry songs, just with his work with Robert Hunter.
It's
Those
just
were-
something
I mean,
about
there's
it.
just-
Yeah,
that's just the
great
perfect
songwriting,
combination of guys.
fantastic riffs,
Yeah.
and like it's a good band to lose your head.
Let me ask you just both real fast. Do you both have a favorite Grateful Dead song?
Depends on the day.
Yeah, it depends on the day. Yeah, I probably got
It's
5
just-
or
it's
6.
just like drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like
Depends on
drinking.
the day,
Depends on what
yeah.
happened that
Yeah.
day.
That's
Yeah,
right.
oh, yeah.
Most of mine are
What am I feeling?
Jerry songs, but once in a while Bobby comes in and I'm like, like Me and My Uncle,
It's hard to beat that one. It's a
playing
good
in the
story.
band, like
Yeah.
just stuff like that.
They're great storytellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
That's really what
Great
the Grateful Dead is,
Yep.
storytellers. And if you're really listening, it's an interesting story to tell.
You're damn right. But yes, you're right. Bobby definitely held the band together. Came in at like 17 years old. I
Yeah,
think. He was
super young. Yeah, orphan.
Wow,
just
really?
like got on the
17?
bus and
Yeah.
just like never got off. Hell of a story.
Literally
I hear
got on
ya.
the bus and never got off.
Dude was stuck on there.
Wanted to, just couldn't figure out where the door was.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Too many hippie chicks.
It's hard to do when
Yeah.
you're on all that acid. You can't figure out where the door is.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 2.
All right, we got 2.
Yeah. Third song.
Third song.
And remember, in your genre, doesn't matter whatever Brandon wants to play these barrels.
That's right.
Shit, man, 10's gonna be a rough.
It
number.
is.
I'm
It's hard.
struggling on
It's
3
hard.
here.
We only got to the third.
I know. All right, I got third. Prince, Purple Rain.
Damn.
Hell
We're gonna shake it up a little bit. Yeah.
I like it. You get a little R&B to
Yeah,
it.
just a little bit.
It gives it gives it that love to it. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
just a little
It's
bit of love
important
to
to
the
change it
barrel.
up a little
Yep.
bit, you
Yeah.
know?
I love it.
All right. Number 4. Yonder Mountain, Snow on the Pines.
Yonder Mountain.
Ooh,
right?
I like it. I
That's a
like
good
it.
one. That's a good one. Number 5, Del McCurry, the Vincent motorcycle song, 47, 49, something like that. You have
Yeah.
to guess beyond the title on
The
that.
Del
That's a good-
McCurry motorcycle song.
Yeah. He's saying about a couple. And you're gonna love it. All right, what number are we up to now? Ooh, number 6. All right, so Mike Gordon out of Fish did a cover of "Sweet Emotion," which was an Aerosmith song, which actually sounded pretty good.
I don't think I've ever heard
Yeah,
that.
that's pretty good. And then the Pinball Wizard.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you
put
gotta
that
have
one up
Pinball
next.
Wizard. That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah. Willie Nelson, "Smoke Me Up and Roll Me When I Die." Put that one in there. What are we up to now? 8.
You were on a fucking roll there.
I know, for a second. It was clicking. I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Brian couldn't
Yeah.
even keep
Yeah.
up with you.
You have 2 more.
2 more, 9 and 10. Number 9, Summertime. We're
Summertime.
gonna put that one on there. You can either do
Which
Doc Watson,
which version? Yeah.
Doc Watson, or Sublime. You know,
Yeah,
let's put Sublime on there.
Sublime
for,
was awesome.
for Summertime.
Sublime
that
was
was a good little
awesome.
riff from Doc.
Dude, I love Sublime.
Oh,
Those guys are
Fantastic band.
so good.
You know, you start listening to their live shows, and the boys got a little screwed to
That's
like
right.
really put on some good music. But like when they got in the
Well,
studio
we're-
and made it happen,
Oh,
we're
man.
Sublime with Rome
Phenomenal.
now.
you know, I appreciate the fact somebody's out there singing.
I like
Let's
it
put
too, but
there.
man, you're just not going to take over what he had.
No, that was a moment in time. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it
Yeah.
was
No.
what he had in his voice. I mean, here's the thing: I've always been a firm believer, and I know this may get edited out, but drugs help musicians.
You're damn right.
Drugs help all artists.
That's right. Every artist benefits from
Yeah.
drugs.
When that
Usually-
artist is bored,
Yeah.
take some LSD.
That's right.
Usually,
Yes.
when music goes bad, is when that artist became sober.
Which is sad. And like
It is.
we have an issue in the United States.
Yeah,
There's no
that's true.
doubt about it. But like,
Yeah, I don't want to sound bad saying that, but I mean, it is like some of our greatest artists of all time. Some of the best shit they put out, they were fucked up.
Yeah.
that Tool song that's like, yeah, all your favorite artists, they were
Oh, my God.
really
That's right.
high on that.
Oh,
drugs.
yeah, they were.
It's true. Yeah.
No, it,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly where my head went
Yeah.
when he said that. Yeah.
All right, so what are we at 9?
We need
We
one
got
more.
One more. Damn,
Yeah.
I had it a second ago and then we
Oof.
switched.
Boy.
Probably Wish You Were Here.
Wish
Damn.
You Were
Go with that
Here
one. Wish You
is
Here
one
a
of
good
my
one.
favorite songs of all
That's a
time.
good one.
You know,
Sheep's actually pretty good too. Interesting story with Pink Floyd. That's a cool band, and they really screwed Sid over a little bit. But,
yeah, a little bit.
yeah, locking him in the closet and giving him a 10 strip. Maybe not good for the mental health.
No
but,
one should ever do that.
No, you gotta be outside when you eat 10.
That's right.
Was that our track of 10?
That was that
Dude,
was
you
fantastic.
that
threw
went
that
pretty
like
well.
a lot.
This guy crushed it.
Read them back, Brian. What do we got?
All right, we got Bathtub Gin,
All right,
Saint
that's
Stephen,
nice.
Purple Rain, Snow on the Pines, that motorcycle song by Del McCurry.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, something with a Vincent. Yeah.
Mike Gordon's Sweet Emotion, Pinball Wizard, Smoke Me Up and Roll Me When I Die, Summertime, Sublime Version, and Wish You Were Here. That's a
Sweet.
good ass
I'll
list.
listen
man.
to those 10.
Get out to Copper and Kings, people. This place is doing it.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun, I promise.
It's so much fun. So look, I got to do one more thing, and I know we're trying to close out the show, but I got one more thing.
What do
Okay.
you got, sir? Ooh, I was wondering where that bottle went.
Oh, look at you.
I was counting on, wait a minute.
So we didn't plan on pouring this, but
We're
first off,
here.
I went through and I grabbed bottles, and then Brandon also bought bottles.
I did. It was sitting on the desk.
I should have
It seemed
known
right.
this, but I don't know. We have something special here, don't we?
We do. I'm excited to try it. This is a
Yeah.
cast strength.
Cast strength what?
Yeah, 120 point.
Ooh.
Something.
So what can you tell me about this little this little?
Ooh.
Because if I read this correctly,
If I read this
Yeah.
correctly,
Which
Yeah.
probably not.
we're having a hard time now. But
Brian's known me for a long time. I can't read.
you can't spell. You might be able to read. I don't know.
Damn sure can't spell.
Me either. Don't worry.
That's why we're in the industries that we're in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's because once
I'm
you
too
drink
drunk
so
to spell,
yeah, once
yeah.
you drink so much, it all looks the same. So if I'm gonna read this this little I guess this is I don't want to say generic label, but
This is a bottle your own label. So
Okay.
this was part of our come to the distillery, fill your own bottle, and then you write all the details down. So
Okay.
I filled this bottle and I wrote all the
Ooh.
details down.
so here's the details. Bottle number 70.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol proof 117.
Oh, 170. I was off. Sorry.
Ooh.
My bad.
Date
listen.
we have 5/16 of 23. And here's the crazy part. It says cast strength. Bourbon
That's a bad word
Whiskey.
at Copper and Kings.
Bourbon
finished
whiskey.
in apple brandy barrels.
We're doing something different, Chris.
Oh my.
Bourbon.
Oh my.
Look at you guys.
So let me ask you just a little bit about this. Is
Yep.
this available at all?
Nope. Well, so you can come to distillery and buy a bourbon or
Okay.
wait a minute, a whiskey. So I'm old school. So if it was not made in Kentucky, it's
all right. yeah.
anyways. But
Understand.
we do have some Indiana whiskey that has been aged in grape and apple barrels for the last 2 years.
Indiana whiskey.
I have
Where
no
the
idea where it came
fuck
from.
could
Yeah,
that
that's
have
very
come
random.
from?
But yes,
I'll let
this
the
one,
I'll let the listeners
Yeah.
try to figure that.
this one is not that.
Yeah.
This one is pure Kentucky. This one has been sitting in my back pocket for the last 14 months. And I decided to whip it out tonight.
This is so good. I cannot begin to tell.
Oh man.
We've had some good spirits tonight. We really have. I feel like we've walked through the
We
gamut.
have. We have.
As bad as I hate to say it, this one's holding its own.
This is fucking good. This is fucking good.
That balance
is
there is
good.
just that's nice.
This is delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love
Appreciate
this.
that, guys.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
Come drink Copper and Kings, whether it be brandies, bourbons, gins, absinthes, liqueurs. Man,
So-
just come hang out with me.
Where can we find you at? Kind of coming.
Oh, so
around,
I
you
am
know?
at KY Grapes on Instagram and social media in general. You can always find me at the distillery. I'm there Monday through Friday, most days. As far as interesting things coming, I've got an apple in a rum barrel that's been sitting in there, finishing for the last 2 years. It's a pretty famous rum distillery. I'm not going to throw out any names just yet, but you guys get the
Sounds like we should
the
come down there and
kitsch.
taste
Yes,
it.
come taste that. That's really cool. I actually got into an apple in a port barrel the other day that was
Okay.
just like absolutely phenomenal.
Ooh.
I'd kind of forgotten about. So yeah, there's always something cool happening.
That's where the forgotten barrels come from.
I forget so many barrels, it's crazy. Like, oh yeah,
there's that marketing scheme.
Forgotten. I forgot about that.
Forgotten Brandon's forgotten. Old Pawpaw's forgotten barrels.
But he literally forgot about
If you know me, you're actually, oh yeah, he actually probably did forget about that.
Yeah. Old Pawpaw's forgotten past.
Yes. The brain's a little cloudy these days. That's the wife
what
said.
can you do?
So if somebody wants to come out and check out the distillery, who they reach out to there?
Oh, so either myself or Drew Pomeroy, who's actually in charge of tours and is like gonna be really upset for me to invite everyone. But yeah, Copper and Kings, 1111 East Washington Street in Butchertown. We are like right behind the new soccer stadium. Come hang out. We have so much fun. It's not your average distillery. Like you walk in and you feel that as soon as you like get out of your car. And we're just here to hang out.
Drew is awesome, by the way.
It's so much fun. He's actually doing stuff. I'm just like causing trouble, and Drew's like, "No, we can't do that."
Hey, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it,
This is
guys.
awesome. I hope you had a
so
good time.
Such a good time. Thank
Well,
you, guys.
it's been a
I
pleasure
really
to have you on.
appreciate it. Awesome.
Yeah. And make sure to come over to the website, firkinpodcast.com, and I'm going to post up some pictures of all the awesome bottles that Brandon brought here today.
Even the stuff we didn't drink.
That's right.
The stuff that we can.
That's right.
Let's say it that way.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Stuff that we
Sure.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Thanks to the listeners for tuning in. You can find us at youtube.com/@FirkinPodcast. Questions or comments can be sent to mailbag at firkinpodcast.com. Visit our Patreon to become a Firker at patreon.com/FirkinPodcast. Subscribe and rate us on your podcast platform of choice and make sure to share it with a friend. And until next time, let's raise a glass to the stories behind the drinks. Cheers.
Cheers. You know when Brian does that the best is when he stumbles. It's just too much to do.